in. I'm Natalie. So can you tell me your most memorable experience that you've had that you remember, like when you realized that you learned different from other people?
That I learned different from other people. Oh, that was actually, I don't know. It happened, it's happened bit by bit, and there's other stories. The time that I remember when I knew that something was different, that that other kids were hearing and understanding, and something else was happening that wasn't happening with me. And I still don't know enough of what grade it was specific. One visual is telling me it was 7th grade, but I'm thinking that's really late. Am I sure it wasn't 2nd grade? Anyway, but all the kids moving in the classroom at the same time. Like just all of a sudden, all the kids start moving, and I'm looking around and they're all getting the same book out and opening to the same page. And I used to watch Twilight Zone. It was a TV show where it'd start out normally enough, and then it would turn and something would be really weird. And I don't know, I like those. Those usually had me thinking, oh, that is kind of weird. And so that's kind of what it made me think of, where everyone's doing this one thing, and I didn't know how did they know? How did they know what to do all at the same time? And they just started moving, and it seemed really, really weird to me.
So then you knew that something must have happened that you missed.
Yeah. And I did know other times when the teacher would turn towards the board, the blackboard, the whiteboard, that then I struggled more. I don't know if I specifically put it towards hearing, because you go in to have your ears checked and they put the headset on, and so there's no other, and it, from what I remember, it'd usually be in a dark or darker room, and so you're listening for, and so there was no other noises, and I could just focus on the one thing.
Right. So your actual ear itself is working. It's the
Yeah.
way that your brain is processing the sounds that are coming in. Like right now, I hear sirens outside. I don't know if you can hear that.
No,
Good. I'm glad.
but I can't, but I can hear the computer, and I can hear some other noises, and outside here I can hear different noises, and so some of that times that can affect me a bit more than I would like to when I'm trying to hear things.
So, did you ever, once you like realized it, and you said it happened bit by bit, but after this experience, really, that you were like, oh my gosh, that was weird. After that, then did you ever, I don't know, did you wish that you could be the same as everybody else, or were you just maybe hoping that somebody would tell you what was going on?
We moved around a fair amount. I think I counted up one time, and I think it was 13 different schools that I went to. And um, every time going to a new school, they would do testing to see, oh, well, what classes are we putting her, what reading level is she at, what math class. And so it would always come back learning disabilities or struggling with learning, but that's all I ever remember being told. And I didn't really understand or know enough of what that meant. Sorry, what was your question again?
No, that's okay. But did you ever wish that you were the same as everybody else, or
Oh,
that somebody would explain to you what was going on? You said that you got learning disabilities, but maybe not.
uh, yes. And in fact, even now to this day, I still struggle with noticing, recognizing that I'm so different than others in so many ways. And there's a lot of people that don't have too much patience. And so it's really hard, especially when you see that same person having the patience for another individual that has visual struggles or limitations. And so trying to find the balance of, okay, how much do I speak up and say, I struggle with this, or just leave it alone and let it go, or I still don't know where that line is, because a lot of times people just trying to think you're getting away, you're trying to brush off or get away with stuff. And as a kid growing up, and or even now, even to check in with myself, am I just trying to be lazy and get away with stuff and not have to do things? And I have been called lazy in the past, and so checking that, and because I forget what's happening and what's going on. And so there's been various times where I've written down on a piece of paper just a whole bunch of details of there's a word for it and I can't think of what it is, but if I've done something, then I'll write it down. And so different than when you make a plan of what you're going to do, it's instead of a to-do list, it's a to-done list. and so I've done those before, and I've seen how many things I get done and do. And yeah, if somebody's going over it to say, okay, is this efficient? Is this the most important thing? Okay, no. And that could be argued and discussed and talked about. But the bottom line is, for the most part, I'm not just sitting around not doing anything. I'm trying to be actively doing things. 34 Clifton strengths. That's one thing that I really like. It's like a business personality profile. Anyway, number 2 for me is learner. I didn't even know I liked to learn until after I got out of school. College. I took 1 year of college, and it was a specific, just 1 year intense certificate thing. And I really liked that because it was what I was interested in. Whereas school, they just keep moving you from thing to thing, and either I'm not getting it, if I don't have a place to put it.
If there's not like an application to life.
Yes, but also that it's not just necessarily only that. Because I can be interested in things and people that don't necessarily have a connection. I'm interested enough in individuals to where if they're sharing something they're excited and interested enough, and I can connect it enough with things I already know, then I can. But I have to have a base for it to connect to, otherwise it won't stay. So, and the another part of it that I've realized more and more is that I I connect with life through emotions. That's my main way that I move through life. But so many other people and how other people interact is through language, is through words. And so I need to translate emotions into words, and just trying to jump from that's too big of a jump for me. And I can't always do that, and I don't know how. And so what I've learned to do is to try to come up with an image. And so the more I've interacted with life, and then I can have more images to go into my card catalog, the old library where it has all the index cards and all the drawers. And so one book can be cataloged in 3 to 5 or more places, depending on title or subject or author. And so that's for me. I have different things cataloged. And so I need to know enough about what it is so that I can find where it goes in the catalog and have enough familiarity. And so another thought that I have is, like, when words are coming in, there's that I Love Lucy show where they go to that chocolate factory, and her and her friend Ethel, and then the boss lady comes in and sees, oh, hey, you guys are doing pretty good. And then she's like, speed it up. And it just keeps going faster. And they don't show it on the show, but I picture in my head that all the ones that they missed were going on the floor and getting piled up. And so if somebody's talking too fast, and or they have enough of an accent that I'm not familiar with, because if I've lived in certain places, and so I've heard sometimes there's words that can be different, or the way they're saying the word can be different, or fluctuations in tone can be different, and there's so many variables. And so the more things that are different, the more I can struggle. When everyone was wearing masks and covering their mouth, that was really, I didn't realize just how much I read people's mouths
Until COVID.
here. Yeah.
No, but I mean, and I'm sure having a learning disability doesn't help with accents and stuff, but it's still hard even when you're, because I grew up on the West, and we've only been out here in Virginia for 2 years, and I feel bad that I don't understand them, because I know that we're both speaking English, but but there's just sometimes I'm like, if you could enunciate a little bit more, I feel like I could understand you. But they feel the same way about me, which I find weird. But
Coming over with your weird accent.
I know. Which is fine. So yes, I'm still very much just still learning as well. And so you didn't even realize that you liked learning, because so much in school is just like homework and this or that. And so were there any other like challenges that got in your way through school that inhibited you from enjoying the process of learning because of your learning disabilities and the way that people treated you?
Well, something that's standing out right now, and it depends on, the day, the time, whatever's popping into my mind but I, actually the teachers that I had made a huge difference. And not even just the teacher themselves, but the subjects that they were teaching. Because sometimes one teacher can have how many different subjects that they teach. They could be doing physical education, gym PE, and then also English, or a math teacher could also teach, or science teacher teaches marine biology, or other things. And so it's not just only the teacher necessarily, but also then the subject and how they're teaching it. And I don't know how to say this exactly. Some of my absolute favorite memories and people were teachers, and then other times that's what I struggled with the absolute most was the teacher. And now that I'm an adult looking back, I can see where, we're all human. We're just all trying to get through life, and we only know what we know. But so there was one teacher in particular that, I look back now and I think, what must he have been going through to talk to a student the way he talked to me? And so now I feel like I have more compassion. But in the moment, being a teenager and really not understanding and needing help, that was a lot. That was a lot to try to figure out how to navigate that situation. The other thing is, when teachers say or do things towards a student, then that gives all the other students permission of how to treat that kid. One of my favorite, though, was 6th grade. And I still don't know to this day whether that's just how she taught. I think a big part of it was, and then how much she was really trying to teach because she knew I was struggling. There was a TV series that we were watching about a shipwreck. And then, so the beginning part was the story, pretend part of it. And then the other half of it, they were going around, and it was this like real life tour of, oh, well, let's see, I don't know how ships are made, or if there was a shipwreck, what would you do in this situation? And so it was this interview, travel log, museum type of, and so that was pretty cool. And that's another thing that it kept coming back with. Looking back now, when I look back over the paperwork of when people did testing for me, is that visual. Is that when there's a picture, then I can hold that picture in my head and then have time to go through it. It'll stay. Whereas my brain, other times, if I'm just trying to have random thoughts or words, it's like every once in a while, my brain just, again with a visual, is if there's a whole bunch of stuff on a desk and somebody takes their arm and just swipes everything off. That's the visual that comes to mind of how it feels like when I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to focus on something, and then just whoop, it's gone, all of it. And it's a mess on the floor. And so it's like, okay, do I try to go to the floor and pick through and try to organize it again? Or do I just say, well, I mean, let's start from scratch and just and try to make do. And so then again, back to the card catalog filing, then if I have places where I can know where to go back to find the thought or idea or whatever it is again, then I can do that. And I have that visually, but I also have it physically on the computer. I have it physically tangible on 3x5 cards in boxes, like, because I absolutely know I will forget. And so I need a place to go back to.
And so having images helps your brain to remember and log it better than words.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Hearing it.
Yeah. Horrible speller. 6th grade, I was sent to the library. There was 1 or 2 other kids, depending. Anyway, for 2nd grade or 3rd grade spelling. It was, which, isn't that when they start spelling? I don't, anyway.
Like 1st or 2nd grade that I remember. And it was about when I was in 1st or 2nd grade that you started asking me how to spell things. I remember you asking me how to spell island.
Is it ISLAND?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is. But I'm sure at the moment you were just like, Natalie, how do you spell it?
Okay, but the other thing too is that shortening a story. Anyway, that I was helping somebody move, and there's a whole bunch of boxes, and they really liked books, and so there was a lot of bins and boxes that just said books across the side. And yes, we had been at it for a while, and there were other, anyway, I remember looking at the word and saying out loud, wait, is that spelled correctly? Because it did not look like it was spelled correctly. And so the more tired or strained or whatever, then it can be worse or come back. And so somebody said something, I don't know how a while ago, about dyslexia, and they're like, oh, well, did you, I don't know, overcome it or something like that? And I don't remember the back and forth of the response, but basically it's like, okay, you're wearing glasses and you're like, okay, so that fixes it, right? You could be like, okay, well, I can see better currently right now, but you take the glasses off and it's not fixed. It's not over. It's not done. You still need the glasses.
Right. And always will, and probably need checkups, check-ins to make sure that things are going okay. I think another interesting thing, especially since mental health is such like a common thing, more so, that's being talked about. And there can be the tendency, and it's good to check in and say like, oh, do I have ADHD? Do I have auditory processing disorder? Could I have that? And in other conversations we've had, that to talk about, well, it depends on frequency. That you had shared about, like with ADHD. Well, it's like, okay, but everybody loses their keys sometimes. Well, right. But when was the last time you lost your keys? 3 months ago? As opposed to, is this affecting your daily life like 5 times in 1 week? Like it's a common occurrence. You just like can't find them. Um, so, so that this was, yeah, it's still something that, which is why we're wanting to have this podcast series to talk about and have this dialogue of this ongoing journey of living with learning disabilities. It doesn't just stop when school ends. Just because it's called a learning disability doesn't mean that learning doesn't occur outside of school. And so what have been some things that have helped with learning, or how maybe it's two questions. What are things that have helped, and what are things, how have you found learning, how are you learning now as an adult? You talked about college, but life after college.
So back up. What was the first part of what you said?
Okay. Yeah. So the first part is what has helped you enjoy learning? The school setting itself was not a good setting for learning. Topics, pace, people, but learning isn't just for the school setting. So how have you enjoyed learning as an adult? What has helped?
Well, I think trying to dig down enough, I think it's when something will click, and it will be you know, saw how sometimes in movies where it they have it all slow down and then zoom in really, really close. And so it's kind of like those moments. Actually, a visual is when it was after something. I can't remember what it was. And you were chit-chatting with some friends afterwards. And I was standing there holding, everybody's coats and whatever other things while I waited for you to visit and chit chat before it was time to go. And I remember you coming over and you're like, Mom, you're just standing here so awkwardly. And I remember that zoom in. You were a teenager. I don't remember how old you were. And I remember that that's what it felt like, that really close zoom in and everything slows down. And I remember going, yes, I am standing here awkwardly. And so that was one of those clicks for me, that just there was enough past experience and mixed with current experience to like a switch that was flipped the opposite way. And so instead of feeling bad about it or all of childhood and movies and TV shows of showing where that's not okay to be that way, and checking it against everything to say, wait, no, this is good, this is okay. And what a relief to let that go in myself, and just to be okay with that. And so it's different parts like that when I get a hold of something and I was just watching a little short video recently about painting, and somebody was showing how these different tips and tricks about with the paint. And if you put painter's tape across the top of the paint can when you pour it, then it all stays in where it should go. And then you just take the tape and throw it away, or of how to protect different things. And so it's not getting in paint. Anyway, it was all those things where how many times have I painted and I didn't know that trick? And if I had, that would have been such a relief or a help or whatever. So it's things like that the personality categories, tests, what are they called? Groupings?
Well, because I know you like personality tests, and there's lots of different kinds. So
Yeah, but I don't know what they're called. Like groupings. They're groupings. Um, like like Myers-Briggs or 16 personalities, which in many ways can be very close, but there's difference. And the Enneagram, or the more business ones like the 34 Clifton Strengths, or
DISC.
what?
DISC.
Oh, yes. And there's the color code, and there's more. Anyway, but that some people, and probably me too, could get into where, oh, this is how it is. But to step back and to see the patterns, and that has been a huge help, because if you're just listening to one person and they say, oh, well, this is how it's supposed to be, but I know it's like, okay, but it's not checking out. And so going through school and having an adult or other kids turn to me and look and say, you're doing it wrong, or that's not okay to be that way, or it just, I mean, initially it can make you self-conscious, but then after a bit, it's like, okay, but that doesn't make sense. That doesn't check out. And so over time to keep. Okay, so another visual is like a toolbox. And so they come in different sizes and for different reasons. And you open it up and you're like, okay, there's a hammer in there, and that's a tool I can use for certain things. And there's a Phillips screwdriver or a flathead or a wrench. And anyway, those are tools that have specific uses for specific things. And then you're like, okay, there's a chewing gum wrapper in here, and there's a paper clip, and there's a piece of lint, and what other things? A button? Is that where you go to look for it? Is that the best place to keep it? Is a broken switch light cover that doesn't have all the pieces? Like at some point you need to check and say, okay, what's in here and what's helpful and what's just not helpful and cluttering, and then I need to get out. And so that's what I've been focusing on more and more and more, to say what things was told to me that I took in as this is what I should be doing, or this is right, and to check it, to validate it, to make sure it's helpful, to clean out and get rid of the stuff that isn't accurate and is broken and isn't helping, and focus on
or to move it to a different space where it can be useful, like the button or the paper clip. That's
right, exactly.
useful, but it's not where you'd look for it. And so like, oh, well, that is useful over here.
Right. And actually, I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if this is the right time, but I wanted to find out from you what things that you remember from childhood that either when you noticed, oh, mom's mom's not like other moms, and or that, and I'm sure being an oldest child, that there's a whole bunch in that category in and of itself, and your personality, but like you would have had a different life if
Oh, right.
so so what things either at the time or now looking back to say, oh, that was different. that affected me in a different way, or
Mm, like related to learning or just in general? Because
yeah.
I never thought of you like as stupid. Like, there's never at any point where it's like, oh, I have a dumb mom. Like that's never like been a thing. Like,
So you were able to separate it into,
yeah.
oh, she just doesn't know how to spell, right? Because some people, in some people's lineup, that just automatically puts me over there.
No, no, and it's because I think it's because that you it really all comes down to you that you noticed early on how to help me feel capable by drawing upon my strengths. And so um noticing that I needed to feel helpful. Um the I think it's better when you tell it, but that when I was two, or when Shannon the blanket.
Yeah, that's the first memory that comes to my mind.
Well, you tell it. You were there.
Okay.
I mean, I was there, but I don't.
I, okay, I don't know exactly if it was the same day as bringing her home from the hospital or um within a week, definitely less than 2 weeks anyway. And so brand new baby in the carrier, and there was a blanket up to her neck, and you were, I don't know, a year and a half ish.
Yeah, 19 months. We're 19 months apart.
Okay. And so you walked over to her and looked, and then you grabbed the blanket and pulled it off. And you weren't, and again, you weren't even looking at the blanket that you had just pulled off, because I don't know, for some kids, they, oh, somebody has a toy and they grab it and then they go and play with it, and then they're shocked that this other kid is acting this way. And so being from that perspective and watching you pull it off and not even paying attention to the blanket, you're looking at the baby that you just pulled it off. And I was like, oh no. Like it just flashed before my eyes of, I have some siblings, some older, some younger, and, sibling rivalry is not just a fun story that people put in books and movies. It can be real. So so depending on age and personality and all that. And so seeing that, and here's where my brain was giving it to me from other things that other people had said and shared. And my mom, I thought you kids would just get along. I didn't know that I had to teach you how to like each other. And so in the moment, I was like, oh, are you helping her with her blanket? Oh, that's so nice. You're such a good big sister. And I just kept trying to encourage and be like, she likes you. I just kept trying to think, what can I say right now? And so you did. You then grabbed that blanket and you put it and you were trying to smooth it out on her. And I was like, phew. And just different times with that. The another memory that I have of being concerned or hesitant, or I don't know if hesitant is the right word. Anyway, is that you were getting ready to start kindergarten, and I hadn't sent you to preschool, but we did learning games on the computer, and even the fact that there's this one learning game that you got bored with because they put so much time in between when you clicked on the answer, and then it's giving you all this reward or this song or this other things, and so it wasn't moving along, and so
Same animation every single time.
and you're like, this is dumb. You probably didn't have the vocabulary that well at that point, but anyway, and so
That's probably what I thought.
and so I was like, we just got this game, and now it's, I don't know how many days into it, and she's already bored with it. And she's not even, because you had to get like 100 candles for this birthday cake, and you were only at, I don't know, 20 or 30 or something. And so I knew there was so much more to the game, and so I stayed up till I don't even know how far into the night of after sending you girls to bed, that I played that game under a different name to get to like 40 candles. And I knew to not go too far. But here's another thing that I didn't have enough of words to say, but your competitiveness helps motivate you and encourage, and whether it's just in your own head, your personal motivation, or outwardly it's a help. And I knew that. And so that's what I did. And so at breakfast, I was like, well, I brought up that game, and you were 3 or 4, I think at the time. And you're like, yeah, I don't really care. You didn't really care about that game. And I was like, well, I got to 40 candles, and I was able to hide balloons in that, because every time you got to a certain number, you got to do something to decorate for the party, for the upcoming party. And so, and you did it. And then I just left it with that. I was just like, okay. And I went about my other stuff. And sure enough, you asked to play that game, and you were in there trying to get more candles.
And so you seeing all of that, and so you're like, well, did you ever like notice? And so like, really, like, I just wanted to be a help and like be included. And so and you were my mom. I remember being so shy, and so I wasn't watching other moms for like the longest time. Like they were scary because they were other moms, like they were other adults, like that was scary. So for the longest time. And so I just wanted to be a help, like that you asking me to help with spelling as a first and second grader. Sweet. Mom needs my help. That was great. I loved that. And I was the know-it-all in classes, always raising my hand. And so anytime I could give an answer and tell somebody how to do something was enjoyable for me.
Oh,
What?
but that's that I got off on that tangent thing, but that was another concern, is that when you started kindergarten, because you already knew how to read, and so that when you started kindergarten, I was concerned that like, what if you, like, I didn't want you to be a jerk. and so and so it really concerned me that, and I can't remember what things in the moment that I don't know. I just remember meeting with your teacher at the first parent teacher conference review thing, and her saying, like, she was hesitant. She was like, I mean, she's like, I hope you don't mind, but I sit her next to the kids that are struggling because she is such a big help. And so she's like, I'm not moving her forward, with her learning at all, but she's really helpful. And I was like, that's the best. Like, I'm not, nope. Because I really didn't see anything that you could learn kindergarten academic wise that you already didn't know, because you were such a sponge for learning that it didn't take you long. Like, how long does it take me to learn something? Okay, that wasn't the case for you. You got it. You got it. And you got it.
Maybe.
And so to have that be a part, I was like, yes, that is, because, like, what does it even matter of if somebody knows, I don't know, where a country is, or the answer to this math equation, especially with technology and how much is online, you just search it up. And so, yeah, you being able to treat other people in a way that's helpful and kind, and that was like, sweet, I'm all for it.
But and so to make it a lifelong learning process, that is something that you did do, that like with the computer games, that it wasn't just, we didn't have the computer just to like play games on. Like, no, the games that were bought and purchased were learning. And I do remember learning a lot from those. With like Math Blasters and Jumpstart, and would get Freddy Fish from the library. Didn't learn as much from that, except for that, like, how to like search for stuff. What did we learn stuff?
Okay, that is like, how many videos are jokes about people not being able to find things?
Oh, that's true. That's true. And we go around and ask people, and they're like, "Oh, now you have to go all the way back. Do you remember where?" No, I don't remember where. So then you have to like go back and ask through. Yeah.
Yeah, so even the game that you didn't think, you're like, oh, that wasn't a learning game. I was like, yes, it was, because I do not want to be every single person's find this for me.
Zoominis was amazing. I bought that. It's on my computer right now. But
It's still fun.
It is still it's still hard. the But that, even just like going to the library, like that they would go to the library, and I love books, I love reading, always did, and always have, always will. And the stories from it, and but I remember at some point, and I was old enough to remember, so I must have been like 3rd through 5th grade, somewhere in there, and you decided that it would be good for us if we checked out some nonfiction books. And I had never put in nonfiction because that was boring and for old people. And I did not want to do that. That did not sound like a fun idea. And so yeah, I was like, I don't even know what. And I can't even read, which is not true, because I was reading since like 3.5. So you're like, don't worry. You don't have to get the ones with just the words. You can get the ones with the pictures. That's what I like to do. And I was like, but I don't know which one to get. And you're like, that's all right. Just think of something that you like. And I was like, I don't like anything. Well, yes, I tried my hardest not to get out of that one, but you wouldn't let it go. So I remember, I remember one time I got horses. I got books on horses, which was fine. And then however many months, years went by, and I remember getting some on dragonflies when the mandatory nonfiction checkout came around again. I got books on dragonflies, and like and it was then that I remember like that I learned a piece of information, like a fun fact, and I love fun facts, and so I was able to share the fun fact with my uncle. It's that dragonflies are actually the ones that have the wings out, and damselflies are the ones that keep them closed when they land. And I thought that was so cool that there was actually a difference. And so then I learned a fun fact and I was able to share it, which, I love telling people things they don't know. So um so it was great, but and then even as a teenager, I remember either it was mandatory that time or I decided on my own. I can't remember. It could have been both, but I went to the adult nonfiction section and I was like, what am I interested in? And as a teenager, I was like, sleep. So I actually legitimately checked out books on sleep and I started reading them. And actually it was very interesting to learn more about sleep. So all of that to say, like, that I don't know that, and that that yes, learning was so hard for you in school, but like that what I got passed down to me was that learning isn't just restricted to school. That, like, okay, go, so find out what it is that you like and go search out that knowledge for yourself and find out more about it on your own, because because it's available to you and you don't have to be restricted by just learning whatever somebody else is teaching you.
Well, and I guess that's a part of it, is that school did feel so restricting for me, because you have to read this book, you have to pull out this. And so even if there was a topic, a class, whatever, where I did start to understand and or get interested, and then the bell would ring or it would be time to move on to something else, and so it was long drawn out where I wasn't understanding, I wasn't getting it, mixed with little pieces, snippets of, ooh, hey, I like this. Nope, you can't learn that right now, you can't. And so it was weird. It was really weird.
That does sound weird. What a weird place.
And we go here every day.
But I can't keep learning that. It's not allowed. We're nearing the end of our time. We can absolutely pick up next time wherever we want to, but I just want to thank you so much for, like, even wanting to come on. Like, this is a seed that got planted in my brain, and I asked my mom, and she said yes. She said she'd share about her life and her struggles and her journey and how far she's come. And I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for asking me. And there's very different times where I, start to get a little bit nervous or something, but then I just thought, if I if I had somebody when I was growing up, when I was trying to figure things out and learn, to know that it was okay and that it was going to be okay, then it would have been made such a huge difference. And so that's what I have in my brain, that the potential for what this can help and add and be for maybe somebody else. That if time travel was ever a thing, if somehow, some way this could get to my past self, that's what I think about.
Oh, helping all the little gingers out there. And we, we want to connect with all the little gingers out there, or even the big gingers. We have we have a snail mail club. This is my poor stamp job that I did on this one, but I figured out how to make it better. So it's called Letters from Gwen, and Gwendolyn is our pen name. So it's me, my mom, and my sister, so Ginger's daughter. Um, she does so Shannon does the artwork. So mom is the thought planner behind it. She writes the letters. We'll mix things up a bit, but just know that it's coming from us and we want to share ourselves with you. So today was shipping day, our first, don't want glare on that cute little froggies there. I'll show you what's inside. I'll go ahead and restamp this one and send it out. But so inside every single month you'll get we just want to connect with you. You'll get this cute little letter and different paper
I
goodies.
haven't seen all
So
these.
an art print. Quick little sneak peek.
That's so cute.
It's a puzzle, different mini prints, different stickers, and so like on the back of this one is a mommy's moment. That's what we've called them, just like the darndest things that kids say, and this one's a quote. So it'll be different things like that, things that are meaningful to us, and this one to help draw it all together and help it be just like a nice experience, as if you're like living in the moment. From the story, this is essential oils. So I written on it down by the pond because there's a frog story. So find us, Letters from Gwen. We'd love to connect with you and hear from you and get to know you better, and you get to know us. Any last closing words, thoughts, questions?
I just I think it's awesome that you reached out and you're doing so much work putting this together, and I'm excited for all the stuff that we have planned and being able to plan this and do this and connect with others.
Boy, I love you. You're the one who's making it all possible.
Oh, well, I love you, and it wouldn't have gotten off the ground even a little if it wasn't for you.
Well, we can sit here all day. No, you. It's together. Together, we're going to build something awesome, and we hope you'll join us for it. And we love you. Oh, take care. I'll talk to you next time. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.